Hi everyone, today we have a new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to check something interesting from Miniart. So this is a 1/35 scale kit, and you can notice that here we get the unusual German 3-wheeler. So this is a Tempo E400. This time we get a railway maintenance truck version, and note that this time we also get the personal figurines. They are depicted there in the corner. So in 1/35 scale it looks like an interesting combo set, let's say, for a diorama build, because we also get all of those items which are depicted on the box art in the rear section of the car. And the car itself is also a good, I would say, subject, which is quite unusual even today after a lot of versions from Miniart, and that's why I decided to take a closer look. So we have a commercial sample here, and this kit number 38063 is something what you will get exactly the same if you order it from Modelimex, for example. So first of all, I have to note the box size. Surprisingly, it hasn't changed in comparison with the releases without the figurines. So here you can see comparison with my hand. We also have quite nice box art here, and then on the side you'll find some safety devices, the address of the manufacturer, and that's pretty much all. Barcode, QR code, this is typical. Next, here on the side you can see also five marking options, but I am trying to understand how this call will be depicted, and it's written here, well, it's actually the names of the versions. So I wonder how call can be replicated in 1/35 scale, and if you have some ideas, feel free to write in the comment section below. So this is a top opening box, and here's what we have inside. As you can see, all frames are sealed into one plastic bag, and it should be easy to open because I accidentally tore it apart. So just give me a moment. I'll take out all of the frames. So first of all, on the top of the box, or on the top of the spruce, actually, we have this nice small envelope with Miniart logo. And as you remember, if you have some experience with Miniart kits, that's where they pack the PE thread. So for Tempo E400, we have quite unusual unpainted PE thread, because first of all we have the nameplate. We also get the radiated grill mesh replicated with help of PE parts, which is really cool because in 1/35 scale this is a really noticeable feature, and here it's even more noticeable because it's actually on the frontal section of the vehicle. So definitely a good thing to have, and it's not difficult to install, to be honest. So you can check it in our build report, which is published on YouTube channel. So that's not something what I'm trying to say theoretically, let's say. I tried it myself, and I have to say that it was quite a cool experience, so definitely worth trying and worth checking the build review as well. So next we continue with the clear sprue. Here you can see that we have all the necessary clear parts for the front cap. They look really great. We have also the lenses for the tail lights and headlamps, but again, as usual, Miniart does not supply any masks or masking templates, so in case you would like to have a nice paint work, you have to cut them by your own, or maybe find some aftermarket producer, but I'm not sure if somebody is actually producing such thing for Tempo E400. As for the decals, I actually did not check. Yes, decals are coming from Cartograph. It's written on the box. I somehow missed it when we were checking the marking options. But here are the decals. As you can see, we have really nice printing quality. If I bring them closer, you can see that we have actually the license plates here, and we should also get some interior decals, but I do not see them, surprisingly. So no dials and nothing else. Really strange, because they were including it into their previous Tempo E400 releases. And on this note, I think we can move to the gray plastic sprues. So I would like to start with this one. It's a sprue BA, and here we get the parts for the front cap. As you can see, the frontal wall. We also have the floor panel. We have the separate doors. We have the seat parts, the door inner panels, and also the wheel fenders. The steering wheel is here, and the separate doors, of course, mean that you can open them. And that's what I was mentioning in the beginning, that this this feature is actually quite handy for the diorama ideas, especially considering that here we get the suicide doors, so that's why they're even cooler on the, let's say, open version build. And note that this frontal wall also features some pre-molded details for the dashboard, which is quite simple on this vehicle, but still it's quite cool that Miniart actually thought about such stuff as well. Next, we continue with the figurines. So there are 4 figurines as far as you can see, and I think it's worth zooming in so that you can see those guys in a bit closer way. So overall design is somewhat typical for a 1/35 scale figurine from Miniart. As you can see, we have a lot of pre-molded features or details, and this is really cool. In 1/35 scale, I think it matters. And we also do not have any guiding elements here, so in case you would like to get the more or less precise finish, you have to align them carefully, and also pay attention that the connection is smooth and it looks convincing, because otherwise you might end up with a robot looking figurines, which is not that great, I would say. Next, we continue with 2 more figurines. So as you remember, we have 4 of them in total. So pretty much the same design. Of course, all poses are predefined, so you won't be able to change much. But, well, this is something also expected with such stuff. So no alternative poses whatsoever. Even though I always say that it would be cool to have such option in this scale, because it's always a nice feature to have. Next, I'm trying to understand whether we have some repeating or pair sprues, because here, for example, we have the new one. This one was not included in any of the previous releases of the Tempo E400, because we get various tools, Pioneer tools for the railroad workers, and this is really cool. Of course, you don't have to use all of this stuff at once, but this is something to place in the rear section of the vehicle. And as you can see, these items look convincing. They are molded in a nice quality, so it's just a matter of adding a bit more features on them. Next, we continue with the wooden lock, which should be assembled out of 2 hulls, and we have here the diagonal cross section, as you can see here. So that's why you have to be careful, but we have also the wooden texture on it, which is a really great opportunity to play with some weathering details on this part. Next is the special back, which should be assembled out of several parts, and this is quite interesting because, as you can see, we have the front and back parts separate. Here you can see what we have inside. So it will take some time in order to get the nice result, because weather actually gives you a lot of opportunities for some weathering ideas, so definitely try to think of something. And then we continue with more Pioneer tools. So here we get various shovels. As you can see, they're also good looking, one-piece parts. Next, we continue with this plastic sprue. So here we have the various parts for the, again, the tools. So as you can see, they are also molded where it's possible. They are molded as a single piece parts, which is really great because it will allow you the better looking result. But this, for example, cylinder should be assembled out of 2 hulls, so that's something also to keep in mind. Next, we continue with another wooden lock, pretty much the same as what we saw before, so just put it aside. The bonnet on Tempo E400 is molded as a single piece part, which is really cool. It can be assembled in open position in order to expose the engine, and as you can see, we have these cutouts for the PE mesh, which is supplied on the PE thread, of course. Next, we also have the small sprue with the bucket parts. This should be easy because we have the central or the main section molded as a single piece part, and we have only the bottom molded separately. Next, we have parts for the rear suspension. So here they are. This one should be also good looking, and as far as I remember, Miniart also gives you a possibility to add some brake lines, which will look quite nice on this type of vehicle, on this scale. Next, we have the parts for the rear section of the car. As you can see, they look, I would say, as good as the previous things which we saw here. We also have the special guiding elements, for example, for the wheel fenders. So I'm not sure if you will be able to open it. We'll have to check the assembly manual. Next, we have also parts for the front cap. Here we have the roof panel and also the rear wall. If I flip it over here inside, you can see that there are not that many features, and we have the push mark right in the center of the roof. So for some others, that would be a trigger to sand it down. Next, we have the last gray plastic sprue. This one is actually filled with parts because we get various drivetrain parts. That means the engine, the suspension parts, the wheels. The plastic wheels are actually quite great, and I think it's worth zooming in so that you can see that we get the details on the tire walls. I think it's quite important in this scale, so even on such tiny vehicle, it's a noticeable feature which will make it a bit more realistic looking. Next, we continue with assembly manual. So this one is printed on form of the color printed brochure. So I will zoom out, and as you can see, we have the short list of the features, and then inside you'll find the marking guide for 2 markings. So these are quite colorful marking options, and that's why you have to pay attention how to properly paint the sections of the vehicle. But again, on the parts map we do not have any marking of which parts are staying unused, so that's why you have to pay attention. There are a lot of pair parts which are actually interchangeable. Next, we start assembly with the front cap. So straight away you have a mention of the possibility to use the metal wire for the brake lines and also for the pedal lines. Next, we continue with the separate doors, rear suspension, rear wheels. Also, we assemble the bonnet. Here, by the way, you can see the radiator grille, which is enclosed with a separate plastic part so that it won't be the see-through element. Next, we continue with the engine, which is also nicely detailed, especially if you consider installing all of these wires as suggested on the manual. Next, we have the installation process of this engine sub-assembly onto the front cap, and note also we have these control lines going into special PE parts, and they will be actually attached to the pedal. And next, we continue also with the choice of the bonnet. You can open or close it, and then the final step is actually installing all of the minor items in the rear section. As you can see, a lot of Pioneer tools and wooden walk, as you remember. Here we have the third marking option, 4th and 5th, and here we have the separate marking guide for the figurines and of course the colors chart. So this set should be already available. You can get it in Modelimax together with some other releases from Miniart, and of course I will be happy to hear your opinion, so do not forget to write it here in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video as usual, so stay tuned and bye.